Good morning, friend. Welcome back to my kitchen. It's still technically morning. It is 11:26. I just went out and did a big harvest. I did some harvesting earlier this morning, and what we're going to be doing today is cooking up a feast around all of this beautiful produce. If you're new, my name is Becky, and I've got a pretty big garden that produces quite a bit of produce and flowers. And we are having my aunt and uncle, who are in from out of town, over for dinner tonight. My whole family is with my aunt and uncle, my parents, my sister, all their kids. They're doing a fun cousin thing. So I have the house to myself, and I get to spend this entire day cooking up a feast for them. They are gonna be super hungry when they get home. We are going to make Ina Garten's engagement chicken, roast chicken, but I'm gonna put my own flair on it. So I thought that that would be a good summertime protein to go along with all this beautiful fresh produce. We're gonna make 2 different breads because I wanna make a sauce with the roast chicken that we can dip the bread in. I was gonna make focaccia. I printed off all my recipes yesterday. I did all the grocery shopping that I needed for today yesterday, and I completely forgot because I got home at like 8:30 that I needed to start the focaccia last night. So I'm gonna show you a rustic loaf that you can make same day. It's a no-knead recipe that we can get started today and bake it today. And I wanna try making one using 100% fresh milled flour, and then I'm gonna do my tried and true recipe using all-purpose flour. And then we are going to make, using blueberries from my blueberry bushes, a blueberry cobbler, but I wanted to add some peaches. So I grabbed some peaches at the store yesterday that are from a local farm, and we're gonna have a peach blueberry cobbler with vanilla ice cream for dessert. I was also thinking about maybe doing one more recipe, making a watermelon salad, but we'll see if we end up getting to that.
Somehow I forgot to tell you half the menu. So we are going to make a spur of the moment delicious watermelon salad with honey, salt, and lemon. We also are going to make one of the best roast chickens I've ever had, along with a sauce that just is out of this world. One of the most exciting things we're going to make on this day is fried zucchini pasta. It's like a zucchini pesto, but I think better. We're also going to make a green bean vinaigrette salad with pickled tomatoes and pickled red onions, and then 2 breads that are going to be 1 fresh milled and 1 all-purpose flour, along with a blueberry and peach cobbler.
It is 11:30 right now, and my family are off on a fun adventure, leaving me to the kitchen to myself, and everyone is planning to be here at 4. That should be more than enough time for me to prep and make all of this food. They asked that dinner be served at 4:45 because that is when people are going to be hungry. So I think this is gonna be perfect. I have not set a table. We're just gonna be in the kitchen all afternoon together. Thank you for being here. If you're new and you enjoy cooking and trying new recipes and gardening, consider subscribing if you've been here before. I greatly appreciate you. I decided before I went out to harvest, it didn't take me very long to get all that produce because the garden is producing a lot right now. We would get some water onto boil to blanch our green beans. But the thing that's gonna take the longest today is going to be our bread. This is my bread mill, so I can grind my own flour at home. I've had this now for going on close to a year. It goes in and out of stock all the time, and it is restocked. So I will link this down below for you if you're interested in grinding your own flour. If that's not something you're interested in, I'm gonna share with you recipes using good old all-purpose flour. This recipe, though, I'm making up, so we'll see if it turns out. I want about 3 cups or 3.5-ish cups of freshly milled hard white wheat because we're gonna be making a yeasted bread. I want something with a lot of gluten in it, and this should get me that. So I'm gonna get this turned on. Whenever you turn this on, you want to turn it on, add your grain, let it grind, and let it go for a few minutes, just a few seconds before you turn it off. And that way it works properly. So here's our fresh milled flour. Now I've never made this recipe before, but I think I've made enough fresh milled flour recipes that it'll turn out, but you and I will find out together. So I have 3 And I'm gonna start with 3 cups of hard white wheat. I'm gonna add salt. I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of honey. This is honey from our own bees, which is a huge accomplishment. I have just enough in here for this recipe plus the next recipe we're gonna be making. So I'm gonna try to divide it between the 2. Now I'm gonna grab a 1.5 cups of hot water. And I'll tell you why I'm gonna use hot, because this is gonna sit here for about 15 minutes, hydrating, before I add our yeast. So we'll get going on the next recipe while this sits. When you're working with fresh milled flour, you want the bran and germ to hydrate, because then you can have a better bread product. So I'm gonna add that to this. I have a little extra flour because I might need it. I'm looking for something that's gonna look a little too wet to be a bread dough. So what I'm gonna do is cover this, and we'll come back to this. So now that we have that going, we're gonna get going on our second bread recipe. And I don't wanna waste this flour. Let's see how much we have here. I'm gonna top that with bread flour. I just had the thought, I don't know if I have bread flour. I have a little bit, so we'll make this work. I'm gonna add 1, this might be perfect. 2, we're gonna call that 3 cups of bread flour. I just put water in my honey jar because I want all that honey to dissolve. I don't wanna waste even a drop of that. My bees worked way too hard for that. Need a little more water. And I'm gonna add maybe a tablespoon or more water just because I added that fresh milled flour, and that's gonna absorb a little more water than just a white all-purpose flour. Good amount of salt. And then to this one, we are gonna go ahead and add our yeast. And I'm gonna add instant yeast. You can add whatever kind of yeast you have on hand. If you are adding active dry, just let that sit with your honey and water a little bit before. But since I have been working with fresh milled flour, instant has kind of become my new favorite because you don't have to wait for it to proof. You can just add it right in and you get to hit the ground running. So technically I'm making both these recipes up right now because I added fresh milled flour to this, but I think it'll be no problem at all. Now, if you are new to my kitchen, whenever I have big cooking days, I always like to say start with a unloaded dishwasher, which I did take a minute to unload my dishwasher this morning before we got started. I've got green beans here that I harvested a couple days ago. We're gonna get those in this pot. I'm gonna let these blanch for about 2 to 3 minutes until they look lightly vibrant green color. Then I'm gonna get them in an ice bath. And then I'm gonna get these green beans washed up. Once I get these out of here, then we will get the second batch in here. I didn't want to put all the green beans in here at once because I didn't want the temperature to drop too much. Let me get these washed up. I have 2 different varieties of green beans here. My favorite variety is called Jade green beans. If you are ever wanting to know what type of green beans creates a really, really tender and beautiful green bean, in my humble opinion, I think Jade green beans are the best. But I experimented with a new variety and it's good. It's very prolific, but I still think Jade wins out for me. I have a compost bowl here. I am just cutting the tops off, getting them in my compost bowl. I do want these to be tender because we're gonna make a salad out of them, but I don't want them to be mushy. I want them to still have some crunch to them. I'm actually gonna make this an ice bath because I'm running out of bowls. I did not write a big list of everything that needs to get done today. I just printed off my recipes, which these will be linked down below for you. And I think what we're gonna do is go ahead and just get started on making the salad dressing for the green beans. That way that recipe can just be completely done and we can move on. So I need these red onions for it, and we're gonna make a delicious vinaigrette. And I'm just gonna have these onions kind of marinate in the vinaigrette along with our tomatoes. And I'll wait to put our green beans in it for a little bit. These onions did not get super big. I have some really big ones out in the garden, but these are gonna be perfect size for today's recipe. I picked these because they are starting to flower, and that just means that these onions aren't gonna get any bigger. So I might as well go ahead and pick them, and it was like the perfect amount for this recipe. I'm just cutting off the flowering end where it's starting to come, the flower's starting to grow from the center. Still totally edible and delicious. It's just kind of tough, so you don't really want to eat it. And then I need a compost bowl. My compost bowl is that one that has the green beans. So let me strain those green beans. They are cooled now, so I can get this in there. My bowls are everywhere with all sorts of fun kid projects, and so I am running low on bowls. It's a happy problem to have. It means fun is being had. It just means I think I need to get myself some more kitchen-only bowls. I know my family, and they're not the biggest fans of raw onions, so I'm gonna call this one little tiny one good. And we're basically gonna pickle this onion in the vinaigrette. And I'm gonna make this vinaigrette just right in the salad bowl that I am going to serve this dish in, because I don't feel like messing up any more dishes today. I'm also gonna do a quick pickle on these tomatoes. I started doing this last year, and it's one of my absolute favorite ways to have pickles. I know it sounds weird to pickle a tomato, but it is delicious. I'm just gonna cut them in half. Get these in here. We're basically gonna marinate the onions and tomatoes in the dressing. These tomatoes smell intoxicating. There's nothing like a fresh tomato out of the garden that is still warm from the sun. My new knife is my new favorite kitchen tool. I will link this down below for you. It is a huge investment, but I could not be more thrilled with how well it's working in my kitchen. I've got some really good olive oil here. This is from a local olive oil producer. And I've got vinegar, seasoned salt. What else does this recipe call for? Oh, grated Parmesan cheese. Yes, we need grated Parmesan cheese for the zucchini pasta. I am so excited to try this zucchini pasta. We're gonna basically fry the zucchini and then blend it up and turn it basically kind of like a pesto, but there's no nuts in it. We'll get to that when we get to it. Okay, I'm looking for mustard. I only have honey mustard up here right now, which I think that will taste delicious in this. So we're gonna use honey mustard. And we need 5 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, not apple cider vinegar, red wine vinegar. That is not enough. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna go downstairs, get more red wine vinegar. I need to get broth for our roast chicken. And I need to get, what else was I? I'm gonna go ahead and get some homemade mustard because I think homemade mustard will be better than that honey mustard that I pulled out of the fridge. I know it'll be better quality. I'm looking for a little bowl here too, because I decided I wanna be able to emulsify this dressing before I pour it over top. So I'm gonna get this out before I run downstairs. Okay, we'll see how many times I need to go down there. But when I was down there, I grabbed chicken broth, Dijon mustard, more honey from our bees, and more red wine vinegar. I tend to buy things in bulk because I do a lot of cooking. And I'm out of breath. If you're new, I'm 16 and a half weeks pregnant, and I get out of breath pretty easy. I am feeling really, really good. That crazy early pregnancy exhaustion is mostly gone, which is nice. No sickness or anything. My biggest thing is I just get out of breath really easily. All right, that is now refilled. While I'm refilling things, I'm gonna go ahead and just, oh, you know what I'm gonna use? I'm gonna use 2 oils that I have. I have some basil oil. This stuff is incredible. This is a local olive oil producer, and when they crush the olives to make olive oil, they put in tons of basil, they crush the basil, and then when they press out the olive oil, they press out all of the flavor from the basil, and it's incredible. Okay, so we've got vinegar in here. I'm gonna put basil olive oil. I'm gonna do half basil olive oil because we're gonna put fresh basil in this as well. And then I'm gonna do half just a good, delicious quality olive oil. I'm gonna add some seasoned salt, mustard. This is gonna be our emulsifier. This is not in the recipe, but I'm gonna add some of our honey from our honeybees. Oh my goodness, so incredible. Now I'm gonna grate up a ton of Parmesan cheese. This is the real deal Parmesan. The best price on it in my area is Costco. It's about half the price for the real deal Parmesan from Italy at Costco than it is if I get it at Kroger. I can't even get the real deal stuff at Winco, which is another grocery store I shop at quite often. So this is one of my always go-to staple items I like to keep on hand from Costco. I'm gonna need this for our zucchini pasta, so I'm gonna take the time, since I'm already doing this, to go ahead and grate enough for both dishes. And this is probably enough for our salad dressing. Get that in there. Pepper. Now we taste. Oh my, that basil oil, it tastes like a caprese salad already. I think because it has the vinegar, so you're kind of getting what you would think of like the vinegariness from a tomato in this. I do think it needs, though, to balance it a little more. I might have been a little generous with the vinegar. Maybe a tablespoon more honey. I do need to grate some more cheese, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and add the yeast to this one. This is why I like instant yeast now, because I can just add it right to something. I don't have to hydrate it. And you can see this one is starting to rise already. It's gonna take me just a bit to get this yeast all mixed in here. And I'm not gonna add any more flour because it looks like we're getting good hydration, and this looks like a good textured dough at this point. And I see some dry spots on this. I'm gonna do a stretch and fold on that. I'm just gonna wet my hand. This is not necessary if you mix your dough properly the first time, but I must have missed a couple spots. So I'm just gonna do a couple stretch and folds. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful. I'm gonna wet my towel now. We're gonna let these rise for a few hours. This next thing is something I have never done before. We are going to fry zucchini. We're not battering it or anything like that. We're just frying it in some olive oil, because we're gonna use the zucchini oil that we fried the zucchini in to make our dressing. This bottle is out. Go ahead and use this good stuff. I know it's not traditional to fry in olive oil, but this is what we're doing so we can get a delicious sauce. We're not deep frying, we're pan frying. So I have probably, I don't know, 1/4 inch of oil in there. We're gonna get this heated up while I wash my zucchini. I have a zucchini in the fridge. I harvested all 5 of these this morning. And then I have one in the fridge that needs to be used up. We need 8 zucchinis. These are relatively big, so I think we're gonna use 4 maybe. Some of this zucchini we'll actually give to the chickens, so we won't use all of it. This one in the fridge looks like it got a little frozen. So I'll cut that frozen piece off and give that to the chickens. My chickens love zucchini. Zucchini and kale are probably their 2 favorite veggies from the garden. There was some water in my pot. That's why that pot is already going crazy. So I'm gonna cut them into rounds like this. I should have dried that pot out before filling it with oil. So I just bought myself some new tongs because I only had 1 pair. And I bought myself these on Amazon. I think it was like $8. And I see chefs and things like, throwing zucchini on Instagram and things use these. And it seems like it would work really well. They're basically like long tweezers. So I thought I'd give it a try. We're gonna blitz all of this zucchini up in the blender or food processor. I haven't decided yet. And I thought it would actually be faster to cut them in these long strips. I feel like a professional using these tweezers. While this is frying, I'm gonna go ahead and keep cutting up my zucchini over here. That zucchini is gonna take quite a bit of time, so I figured while that's going, let's start on our chicken. I have 2 chickens that I got yesterday at the store, and we are gonna do roast chicken. I thought that it would be good to do something a little bit on the lighter side. It is pretty warm out there today, and roast chicken just sounded really good, and I thought it would go well with a zucchini pasta and a green bean salad. So I have a couple onions from the garden. These are not huge onions. I could go grab a couple more, but we'll see how well this does. I've got my compost bowl here. Cut these onion greens down a little bit. I have some onions that I got from the store before my onions started producing, so I might just grab one of those because it's up here. I'm not going to bring more dirt into the kitchen. Oh, these look great. Not worrying about draining these. Oil gets into our blender, that's fine. Look at that. I just did a stretch and fold on my loaves, and now we're gonna keep going on our chicken. So I've got my onions here. I did dice up or chop up one more onion that I had in my pantry, and we're gonna make the base for our roast chicken. Now the recipe I'm being inspired by, I'm not following it exactly, is for a whole chicken. But I am going to spatchcock it because I get a better even cook on chicken when I do that, so that's what I'm gonna do. Got 2 lemons here. I'm gonna get those in there. Get that in my compost bowl. Now we're gonna season up these onions and lemons. I'm gonna start with pepper because this is gonna be the base of our sauce that we're gonna make. Good amount of salt. And then I have this seasoning I got at Trader Joe's because the recipe for the pasta called for an Italian seasoning blend, and she linked to one, and I didn't have time to buy the one she linked. And I remembered Trader Joe's had this one, and it had a lot of the same ingredients as the one she linked. It has dried minced onion, tomato flakes, sea salt, minced dried garlic, chili peppers, parsley flakes, crushed pepper, dried rosemary, sage leaves. So I'm gonna get that in here, and now I'm gonna mix this together. I should get some oil in here too, but I think I'm gonna use the oil that is cooking the zucchini, so we use that oil as long as it still tastes good. I'm probably gonna taste it just to make sure it still tastes good. I have 2 chickens here, and to spatchcock a chicken, it's super easy. You've got the breast side of the chicken that is kind of more rounded, then you got the back side of the chicken where the 2 wings are. What we're gonna do is we're gonna cut the back out of this chicken. I'm gonna use my new knife, and I think it's gonna be really easy. Oh my goodness, no big deal. Just like that. Cut the back out. Save the back, and you can use the back to make broth with it. I'm just gonna break the breastbone just a little bit. You don't have to do that part, but it makes this next part a lot easier. Again, we have the breast side of the chicken where the drumsticks are. We have the back of the bird where the back is and the wings are. We're gonna cut right along the back here to remove the back so we can lay open our chicken flat like that. Bring you around this way so you can see. This chicken still has its neck attached to it. Now the breastbone is right here. If you have a sharp knife, you can just take your knife and gently pop that open. And then your chicken is gonna lay flat. And this is called a spatchcock chicken. You can do this with a turkey too. I'm gonna take the wings and tuck them up underneath. That way it cooks a little more evenly. Dogs are asking to come in. They've been enjoying sleeping out in the shade on the back deck. And I can hear them now. They're saying, I'm ready to come in. Ah! I have this turned off. And here is our zucchini. We've got some oil at the bottom and some of the juices coming out from the zucchini. Boys, come on in. Here they come. It was just Tibro and Dakota, little dog, out there. And in here, I've got some butter and garlic. Before we finish our zucchini, I thought we would go ahead and just finish our chicken since we're almost done with that. I took a paper towel and I patted my chicken dry. I've got some garlic here. It was frozen and I just melted it because we're gonna need it for a couple different recipes. I'm gonna get that in a 1/4 cup of butter here. Oh, that smells so good. I probably melted this a little more than I needed to. Now I'm gonna add our Trader Joe's Italian seasoning. Probably about 2 tablespoons. I don't know how much salt is in that, so it's hard to know if I should salt it a little more. So I think I'm gonna taste this. The butter is salted, but obviously you want your chicken salted. Okay, that's not very salty at all, which is good. Woo! To know. So I'm gonna add some seasoned salt there. One thing that can use a good amount of salt to make absolutely delicious is chicken. Oh yeah, so good. I'm not gonna put this butter on the top, I don't think. I think I'm mostly just gonna get this seasoned butter up underneath the skin. So I'm taking my fingers up underneath the thigh and the drumstick and the chicken breast, and I'm loosening the skin so that I can get this butter up underneath there. Trying not to break the skin. I just did, but that's okay. I'm gonna use all of this so I can set this on here, make it easier for myself. The last thing I'm gonna add to this chicken before we roast it is some of our basil oil. And now our main dish is pretty ready to go until we cook it later today. I'm just tidying up the kitchen before we finish our pasta sauce, and I just wet my hand. And for our fresh milled flour loaf, I'm gonna do another stretch and fold. I'm trying to be very, very gentle to keep the rise on it. We're just trying to build gluten structure, which whole wheat, fresh milled flour loaves can definitely benefit from a little bit of help when it comes to gluten formation, because the bran and germ that are still left in the flour, they are really sharp and they actually are breaking those gluten formation structures. So that's why they can benefit from a little extra help. So I did clean my countertop here. Let's get going on our sauce here. So there's quite a bit of liquid at the bottom of here. That looks like it's about this much. I gotta wash my hands from the dough, but that looks like it's about this much zucchini juice and about a 1/4 inch of oil, which is good because we want some of that in our sauce. This pasta sauce is gonna be served at kind of room temperature-ish. Not super hot, not super cold. I will cook the pasta right before we serve, but I'm not going to cook this sauce again or heat the sauce up. It'll be a nice, refreshing pasta side. So this sauce is gonna come together really quickly. I'm gonna add all of this cheese. We have not seasoned this at all yet. I'm gonna add a tablespoon of this Italian seasoning. Again, I'm not exactly sure how salty that is, so we're gonna taste it. I'm gonna add a good amount of black pepper. The lid. I need to go get some basil out of the garden. I'll be right back. I'm gonna get one more ingredient out of the fridge out here, which is ricotta cheese. I kind of want to taste this though before I add the ricotta. What if I like it just the way it is? Well, we still have to add the basil. Wow. That is so good. Okay, that has so much complexity already, but I forgot to add the garlic, which is definitely needed. I can add another tablespoon of our Italian seasoning. And then I think I'm gonna add some of this ricotta. Well, I don't think I am gonna add some of this ricotta, but it already has pretty good flavor the way it is. This is a 16-ounce container. I'm gonna add half of it. Let's go get the basil, because before we can do the final taste test and say that this sauce is done, we need all the ingredients in it. And if you're new, I'm gonna bring you out here so I can show you where I did my harvesting this morning, in case you haven't seen the garden. I tried to get out here before it got too warm. It's pretty toasty today. I think we are gonna eat outside because I've got big umbrellas and a tree there, so it should be in shade. It's not humid out here at all. So this is my garden. Right here is where I harvested the zucchinis from. Right here is where I harvested the cherry tomatoes from, and one zucchini. The basil is back here. Let's see if I can find it. Here's basil. I need to get out here and harvest some tomatoes. Probably do that tomorrow. Okay, got our basil here. I need a bunch of this for our green bean salad too. Okay, I put all of that in here. I wish you could taste this. So good. I think it needs a little more seasoned salt. Hopefully I didn't just add too much. I wonder if you could freeze this, because this would be a fantastic way to use zucchini. That has the perfect amount of heat. There are some red pepper flakes in this. It's the perfect amount of saltiness now. but there's like this lingering heat, but you're getting the creaminess from the ricotta and that funkiness that you want from the Parmesan cheese and the herbaceousness of the basil and the clean summer taste of the zucchini. Not too garlicky. So good. Oh my goodness. You know what would be good with the pasta? Because we're gonna cook the pasta. I don't think I have any. I think I used them all. I have a few. Maybe I'll use them, maybe I won't. But I think what would be really good in that would be peas. Wow. That is so good. Okay, I've got quite a few dishes, and there's a little bit of Parmesan cheese in here. I'm not gonna let that go to waste. That stuff is too good. I'll just stick that right on the top there. I've got lots of dishes. I can tell that one of my loaves of bread is ready to be cooked. So I need to get my oven preheated. It is warm out there and I can tell my green stalks need to be watered. So I think I'm gonna get my oven preheated and then I'm gonna take a minute to go out there. We still need to make our dessert. I also need to get some water on to boil to peel my peaches. So maybe the order I will do, get my dishwasher started, because I've used the majority of the dishes I'm gonna use today, and even if this dishwasher is not totally full, I'm going to run it so that it'll be ready and empty when we have our dinner dishes. Maybe I'll wait till I have the cobbler made and then I'll run it. I think that's what I'll do. I'll wait till I get the cobbler made up. I've used all my spoons basically for taste testing. I do have different silverware that I use for when guests come. Let's see. I gave my compost to the chickens. Let's see. Got a little more compost here. I'll just put this in my food recycler over here. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna get the cobbler made up and then I'll get this started. But I was letting the dishes kind of pile up. That's not normally like what I like to do, especially if I took the time to unload it. That's what I did. I did not water my hanging baskets or my green stalks yesterday, which is not great because it was hot yesterday too. I'm gonna get my blender put away. It is 1:51, if you're wondering what time it is. I'm trying to think through how I'm gonna bake this bread. I can tell that my fresh milled loaf is gonna take longer to rise, which makes sense for two reasons. We put the yeast in it about 15-20 minutes after we put it in this white one. So it makes sense that it would take longer to rise. So we're gonna cook this at 425. And I need to cook it in, normally I would cook it in my Dutch oven, but my Dutch oven has a ton of oil in it right now. So I'm gonna cook it in my stainless steel pot, which I've cooked bread in this many times with no problem. I need to find its lid though. I'll just cook this in batches. We'll do the white bread first and then the fresh milled bread second. Let me get some water on to boil. Now we're gonna shape our bread. Oh no, not a parchment paper up here. At least that size parchment paper. Not that big of a deal, but I'm not running downstairs to get it, to refill it. I happen to have more down here. I'm just gonna cut it in half. I like to use parchment paper when I bake these rustic loaves because it makes it really easy to transfer it into a really hot pot. Just gonna cut it in half. And you can see how much lift and rise we've gotten on this one. We're gonna let this one continue to rise. I might actually bring this outside because I have the air conditioning blasting in here. And if I put it outside, it might actually rise a little bit faster. This dough feels amazing. I'm just gonna shape it just a little bit. I'm trying not to push out all the air bubbles, but get a good shape on it. The bottom of this loaf is not going to be the prettiest, but it'll taste good. And it will soak up our chicken sauce beautifully. So we're going to let this rise for a little bit longer while our oven preheats. We'll score it right before we put it in the oven. I am going to bring this outside because it's probably, I think I have it set to like 67 in here, maybe 69, I don't know, something like that. And it's probably 85 out here. Okay, while that's going, I think I'm going to start setting the table. There will be 4 kids that are old enough to sit at their own table, and then there's going to be a 1-year-old. So I'll get out the high chair for the 1-year-old, and then the 4 kiddos can sit here. I don't know where it's going to be shaded yet. So let me just set this over here. I'll get the table set, and then we can just move it to wherever the shade is going to be for them. I forgot to cut X's on the bottom of those. Oh well. And I need to put them in an ice bath, and I don't have any more clean bowls. I'll have to wash one. I don't have enough ice to put ice in there, but I think that will be okay because we're gonna cook these peaches, so it's okay if they're a little soft. This is gonna be a peach blueberry cobbler, and I may have, let's see. Okay, they are Freestone peaches. You do not have to peel your peaches for cobbler, but I'm going to. I think I messed that up because I didn't put the X on the bottom, but that's okay. I can just peel it with this sharp knife. Those will go to the chickens. These are perfect texture. They're not too soft yet, so they'll cook up beautifully. I don't have any ice. Normally I put ice in here when I do this, but I don't have any. That's okay. Okay, so to this, we're gonna add a bunch of blueberries and pink blueberries. I've got more that are frozen. I'm gonna need to go grab. The blueberries are from my blueberry plants, but the peaches are from a local orchard. Oh my goodness, these blueberries smell so good. Oh, little stem there. Now I'm gonna make a topping for this. but I think my second loaf of bread might be ready for me to shape it. So I'm gonna check that real quick before we make the cobbler topping. I actually forgot I was watering this. So let me get the next one watering. My bread is right here. Oh yeah. Actually, I'm gonna give it a little bit longer. But while I'm out here, I'm gonna go ahead and start setting the table. Josh just got home and made a very, very good point that it's supposed to be 97 when we're gonna be eating dinner, which is too hot and too uncomfortable even in the shade.
Sorry for throwing a wrench in the place.
That's okay. I was thinking when we had our last dinner party outside, we sat in the shade, but I think the high on that day was like 78. So quite a bit different. So I got the bread shaped and now I'm gonna make the topping for this in just a second, but I've gotta get this counter clean because it's driving me crazy. And Josh offered to bring in all of those goodies that I just sat out on the table. And he's gonna get those set out for me on the inside table. And that will be nice. This flour is still good. So once we get the cobbler topping done, then all the, I believe, I'm gonna have to look, assembly of everything is gonna be done. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do the watermelon dish too. I already cut up a watermelon yesterday, and I was just thinking I could easily dress it up for a dinner party. I probably should be doing this after I make the cobbler topping because I'm probably gonna make a mess again. But there's something about staring at a ton of flour and grime on the counter that is a little distracting to me. So we're gonna get this cleaned up. I am not a very clean cook. I wish I was. I wish I was more type A. I'm definitely a type B person, but I do a pretty good job trying to clean up as I go. Not always, but I try to. This is why I have a million towels, because I think I've gone through 8 of them today already. I'm gonna need to do a load. I got the dishwasher started. This is our bread rising. We have about 10 more minutes on that loaf before we take the top off. And now I need to come up with a bowl to make this topping. how much quantity do we need? Because I've got most of my bowls in the dishwasher right now. Boiling water. Add blueberries. Okay, so we do need to sweeten this. I'm not gonna add the cinnamon. I just don't want cinnamon and blueberries together, but we need to add some flour and some sugar to that. Okay, it's gonna take me a second to get out all these ingredients, but what I can do right now is add some flour to this and some sugar. And the recipe called for cinnamon, but I'm gonna just do vanilla. This is the bowl I can find that we can work with, and it's gonna work just fine. Okay, that's the timer for my bread in the oven. I have water on this in the microwave boiling. It's starting to boil. Oh my goodness, look how beautiful that is. It smells fantastic. I can smell the honey in it. Now this recipe says to mix this until light and fluffy. I do not have, well, I could get my handheld mixer out, but that is not gonna work very well in this bowl situation that I have. So we're just gonna make this work. So I'm gonna add my sugar to this. That's white sugar. That's brown sugar. And I'm just gonna mix this in here. We're adding boiling water to this, so I figured it's okay if I just mix this right in here, because the boiling water is gonna melt the butter. Okay, this bowl is not quite big enough. Okay, I just washed this bowl. This is actually my salad spinner bowl, but we're gonna make this work. I've got different salsas and things in my fridge in bowls. So that's why not only do I have bowls outside with fun activities in them, but also I've got different things in my refrigerator in bowls. That's flour, baking powder, salt. I'm gonna sprinkle a little salt on my fruit as well. I do have my lower oven preheated to 375, so I'm gonna get this baked in the lower oven. One more ingredient, and that is some boiling hot water. Hot. I have never made this before. Growing up, my mom was not one who would make cobblers. She would make crisps. Even today, she makes crisps all the time. So I hope this goes over well with my family because it's a cobbler, not a crisp. I'm sure it will. It smells good. And this is definitely more of a cake batter consistency. It's not a biscuit consistency. I guess I've made cobblers that are more of a biscuit consistency, but I've never made one that's like this batter-like consistency, and I think I would like this better. Okay, I want to get all this goodness out of here, so I've got spatula. Josh just watered all my hanging baskets because I did not water them yesterday. Into the oven this goes. I've been washing dishes by hand, cleaning up, and I think, yeah, this is done. Beautiful. But I could take its temperature, but I'm not going to do that. I think it's done. I want to get this in the oven. Josh is checking on the chickens. I already gave them a ton of cool, cold water this morning and food, but again, it's hot outside, so he's gonna go check on them. We have our cobbler in the lower oven. I need to set a timer for both of these, and I need to get this off the counter. But look how beautiful that is with 1 cup of fresh milled flour. We'll see how the other one turns out. So Josh was gonna help me set the table, but I think what I'm gonna do is get some more dishes washed by hand, and then I'll set the table, and then when he comes in, he can help if I haven't finished it. I don't know if I'm gonna go out there and harvest flowers. I feel like I should, but this needs to soak. So we'll let that bowl soak. Now that I've washed some dishes, I have some bowls. I got my cutting boards washed. I did have to wipe the counters again, and that's fine.
Josh was 100% right when he said, I think it's going to be a little too hot to sit outside. We are not used to high 90-degree weather around here, and I think on this day it hit 97 degrees. Way too warm for us to sit outside and enjoy a dinner. So it was definitely the right call to move everything inside, and I'm so glad we did. We did sit outside after dinner, after dessert, and we sat out in the shade, and it was wonderful, but it definitely would have been too hot at the time we had dinner. So I'm just transferring everything inside. Now, I don't know how I miscounted the amount of adults. There are 8 adults and 4 kids. I probably in my head counted 10 times, and I was like, how is there only 6 adults? I could not figure out how there were only so few adults. I don't know who I was forgetting. I don't know if it was Josh and I was forgetting to count and I was just counting the people that were coming over. I'm not sure what happened there, but I did end up having to set 2 more plates, and it was not a big deal, but I did miscount by 2. And we ended up just putting 2, well, actually what I ended up doing was we pulled the table toward that back bench. We had 4 people on the back bench, and then the rest just sat around. And then I did set the kids' table, and they were thrilled to have their own table. And I even lit them a little candle, and I think they felt really special with that.
I'm gonna do something a little different this time. I am going to leave the plates off the table. I'm about to go harvest flowers. Josh is gonna bring in the chairs so we can finish up the kids' table. I've got about 10 minutes left on the cobbler and the second loaf. I've been cleaning the counter. I've got 3 jars here filled with water, and I'm gonna go fill these up with flowers right now. Dishwasher has about 21 minutes left. My parents are gonna be here in about 20 minutes. They're usually early, so they're gonna be here shortly. And they'll probably get here when I am. Well, I only have about 10 minutes because I've got to get this flower arrangement done before I need to take the cobbler out. I do have my timer set on my phone in my back pocket, so I won't forget and get distracted cutting flowers while we've got dessert in the oven. Josh definitely did a good call on not eating out here because it is pretty toasty. The house feels fantastic. Got some dahlias right here I could cut. just got the flowers inside. Timer went off that this is done. Look how beautiful. It is hot out there. Whew. Turn this oven off. This one's done too. Okay. I would normally do this outside, but it is too hot out there. Let's see. Just lay these here. It is now 4:10. Table is set, all the food is prepped and ready. And now I'm gonna get our chicken in the oven. My parents should be here any minute. This is gonna take probably an hour and 15 minutes to cook. We're just gonna let this go, and I'm actually gonna go probably change into some comfy clothes and just wait for my family to get here. I almost forgot to add some broth. You could definitely add some wine to this if you wanted to. I'm not going to because I don't have any open. And I'm not gonna open it just for this. I normally probably would, but I'm gonna add that amount, 2 pints. These hold about 1.5 cups, so that's about 3 cups of broth. That's gonna turn into our sauce when we're done.
Friend, this seasoning blend from Trader Joe's was delicious. If I can find it on Amazon, I will link it for you. Usually though, the price on Amazon for Trader Joe's goods is pretty high. I don't know if you can actually order stuff straight through Trader Joe's if you don't have one in your area, but I'm sure that if you read the ingredients, you might be able to find something similar in your area. What was delicious about it is that it had a lot of herbaceous flavor, but it also had a hint of heat. There are red pepper flakes in it, and it was so good. I ended up taking the back of all these roasted chickens. Yesterday I actually did this, and I made broth with the bones, and it was probably one of the best chicken broths I have ever made. It was so good. But at this point right now, I'm going to let these chickens rest for about 25 minutes, and we're going to get everything else going while the chickens rest, and then we can carve the chicken. I'm starting on the sauce here. I'm just going to make a simple gravy. I'm going to use the chicken fat that's separated from my fat separator. My sister's in the kitchen, my aunt's in the kitchen, and they're going to help me pull this dinner together. I was going to say one more thing. Oh yeah. So for that chicken, I have a digital thermometer. I went ahead and I put that digital thermometer in the chicken right when I put that chicken in the oven, and it has an app on my phone. The one thing I love about the one that I have is that it tells you how much time is remaining. So not only does it tell you what the internal temperature of the chicken is, what the ambient temperature of your oven is, it also tells you how long it guesstimates how long until your protein is going to be done. And I really, really like that feature of that thermometer. And I didn't show it, but I did put that in there. So here I've got some of the chicken fat in my roaster pan. This is the roaster pan we roasted in the oven with the chickens. I separated the fat from the broth. I took the fat off. I put that back in my roaster pan on my stove. We added some flour. And now my aunt is whisking in the flour. So while she does that and she finishes making the gravy, I'm going to finish this green bean salad. I went to the garden with my nieces when they got here, and we were picking tomatoes and they were just eating them. And I was picking basil, so I put a whole handful of basil in here. I didn't even cut them, I just put whole leaves. We have our tomatoes and onions that we're marinating in that delicious dressing, and I do end up putting a little bit more dressing on it. This was delicious. I have never had a green bean salad like this before. I don't know why I've never had it or thought of it until I was coming up with this menu, and it is such a good way to eat green beans that's a little different. Normally, the only way we eat green beans in my house is I saute them with some garlic and butter, salt and pepper. Now that is delicious. This is a really fresh and kind of crunchy and different way, for me at least, to eat green beans. So I did put some really big shavings of Parmesan on the top, and that salad is done. After the chicken rested for a good bit, my sister is going to go ahead and carve these chickens for me. We're all kind of doing different things in the kitchen. My sister's carving the chickens. I'm finishing up the salad. My aunt is whisking the broth. My dad and uncle and my mom are outside hanging out with the kids, and we're just having a good time hanging out in the kitchen pulling this meal together. So my sister's going to break down the chicken. She'll put the chicken breast in one spot. She'll put the chicken thighs in one spot, and they'll kind of be like a white meat and dark meat on the platter. Once I got the salad put together, I wanted to cut the bread. The bread completely got eaten. Every single piece of this bread, both the 100% fresh milled and the probably 1/3 fresh milled to 2/3 white flour, both of these got gobbled up. They were both super delicious. I don't even think the kids could tell a difference between the 100% fresh milled and the white flour. Everyone ate both. What my mom and aunt ended up doing is they took their bread and they put it on their plate, laid it flat, and they poured their gravy and their chicken over the top of the bread. And because the gravy was so good, because it had all of those flavors from the seasoning and from the chicken drippings and from the homemade chicken broth, it was so flavorful. I did not add any more seasonings to the broth or to the gravy, just butter, flour, and the broth. There was plenty of salt and pepper and spices and just really good flavor that we didn't need to add any more seasonings to it, and it had great flavor. There was a little bit of heat to it again, but it wasn't overpoweringly spicy. So my sister's putting the chicken bones into this fat separator so that I can turn that into broth later in the week. I did not show it, but we did get 2 pounds of rigatoni noodles going because we're going to finish this zucchini pasta. This, again, is something I have never thought about making. It was so unique, and it was incredible. I cannot tell you how much flavor this packed. You could tell that it was zucchini. It tasted like zucchini, but with all of the richness of the ricotta cheese and the Parmesan cheese, and it just had such depth of flavor. I cannot tell you how delicious this was, and it's a great way to use zucchini. You all know, I don't know if you know, if you're a gardener, usually, I've had years where zucchini has done absolutely nothing in my garden, but typically, traditionally, you're bombarded with zucchini, and this is a really fun and unique way to use it that's different than, say, zucchini bread and things like that. We've just let this gravy / pan sauce sit on the stove and stay warm while we're doing all the other things. I'm going to go ahead and pour this into a bowl, put a spoon in it, and then it can be served. This did not make a crazy amount of gravy. A lot of times what I'll do if I have a bunch of leftover chicken and gravy or sauce or whatever it might be from a day like this is I will actually cook up some egg noodles and pull the chicken off the bones and make like a chicken pasta with the leftover sauce, and it's delicious, but I did not have enough of that sauce to do that. But if I had, it would have made a delicious dinner the following day. So now I'm going to go ahead and get the candles lit for the table because we are almost about to sit and have dinner. My aunt went ahead and put ice in all the glasses. My mom picked up some ice on her way because I used all the ice that I had in my house when I was doing the ice baths. And then she went ahead and put water in all of the cups. And then last minute, I thought, I'm going to pull together a watermelon salad. I had cut this up the night before because my son wanted watermelon. And I felt like we were kind of missing something. I don't usually do a fruit side, but this dinner just didn't feel totally complete to me. And so last minute, I pulled out the watermelon that I had diced the night before, and I wanted to elevate it just a little bit so it wasn't just watermelon. That would have been delicious. This was a fantastic watermelon, but we're going to elevate it by adding some lemon zest. I'm going to slice the lemon open. I'm going to juice the lemon over the top, and then I'm going to drizzle our honey from our bees on the top of that. And then to top it off, I'm going to sprinkle some flaky salt on the top. And I am actually not a watermelon lover. It's one of the fruits that's not my favorite, but this also got eaten. No watermelon left. The kids loved it. My parents loved it. Everyone said that the salt and the honey and the lemon and the watermelon together was fantastic. Now, what I think would have probably brought it over the top and made it a little bit even more beautiful would have been to add mint from the garden, but I did not feel like going to the garden, washing the mint, chopping the mint. So we're just going to go with watermelon, lemon juice, lemon zest. Probably I put 2 teaspoons of honey on it and then sprinkled some super flaky, delicious salt over the top of that. So that is what the watermelon dish looks like. All of the plates are there, and this is what this dinner looks like coming together. We have our 2 roast chickens. This chicken was so good. It was tender, it was juicy, it was flavorful. We have our sauce. You can see the red pepper flakes in there. There was a little bit of heat, not too spicy, but just kind of warmed the mouth. Our zucchini pasta, our green beans with our vinaigrette and tomatoes and red onions, and then our 2 breads that got completely gobbled up. They were so delicious. I think I'm going to make the easy, rustic, 100% fresh milled loaf on the regular. That was so easy, so delicious, and it was not dense, it was not dry, it was just the perfect flavor. So at this point, we've got my mom and my aunt dishing up their plate. My dad is there next. Oh, actually, that's my uncle. My uncle's there, and we sat down and had a delicious dinner. And now my sister and I are going to dish up the blueberry peach cobbler. Now, what was really funny is when my sister and I are doing this, my mom is talking about, she was asking how the Choco Tacos were. And I said, I have more Choco Tacos if you'd prefer Choco Tacos. And half of the people had Choco Tacos, half the people had the blueberry peach cobbler, and half the people, or I guess that'd be a third, a third of the people had both Choco Tacos and peach cobbler. It was super funny that those Choco Tacos became a huge hit on this. There's my mom. My mom and dad shared the Choco Taco, and she was really excited that I had a leftover one. So because a lot of people had Choco Tacos, I had a ton of blueberry and peach cobbler left. So I packaged up over half of what I had left and sent that home to my sister's house, and her family can have that for breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert, whatever they want. And then my aunt and uncle are going to be in town for quite a bit longer, and they're staying at my parents' house. So I packaged up the other half and I sent that home with my parents, and we just kept that little corner for ourselves so that we could enjoy that.
Everyone just left. My family is amazing. They cleaned up so much for me. And I don't know how I miscounted. There were 8 adults, not 6. I probably counted the amount of people 6 or 7 times in my head before they got here just to make sure. And that's what I get for not writing it down. My dogs are asking to go out. Normally, Boyce, it's okay. I'm letting you out. Normally, I have a written list of all the recipes, the guests and stuff like that. I didn't do any of that. So let me show you what my kitchen looks like. So what I did, because it wasn't that big of a deal, is I went ahead and we pushed the table back. So we were able to get 4 people on this side. Me, my uncle, my aunt, and Josh were here. And then having a kids table was so great. I think they really enjoyed it. I also pulled out some papers and color pencils, I'm tired, and had that out for them too, so they were able to do that. We did pull that closer. I didn't attach it, but we had it since we pushed that back. It looks like they pushed the table back where it was. We had this closer. So we were all kind of sitting together. I packaged up leftovers for my sister and my parents to bring home so that they got to take some cobbler home because we would not be able to finish all of that. The bread, let me tell you, my friend, this 100% fresh milled bread, so soft, so delicious. Oh my goodness, I cannot believe how good this was. This one was delicious as well. That entire jar of jam got eaten. That's why I make so much jam. And this I'll package up and we'll probably have it with eggs or something in the morning. My sister and someone, I don't know who, but they got a bunch of dishes washed by hand. They got my dishwasher loaded. They got those dishes done. The sink is basically empty and there is not very much for me to do. I did put away most of the table decor stuff and my family is sitting on the couch relaxing. Tomorrow, you and I are going out into the garden. I say early, we'll see. It is basically 7:52 right now, so it depends on what time I get to bed. My goal is to get up super early, get out in the garden and do a big harvest with you because I was out there with my aunt and uncle and we were touring the garden. And wow, is there a lot of stuff that needs to be harvested. We harvested a ton for today, which was great, but there is more to be harvested. I see one more candle that I can blow out. I used all my dish towels, so we had to pull out a bath towel to dry the dishes on. But this is in stock again, so I will link this and the other things I mentioned that I would link along with the recipe, so if you're interested in them, don't forget to check out the description box. I want to say a big thank you for being here. That was a wonderful dinner. I love doing this, and I'm grateful you come along for the journey. Let me pop some videos there you can go enjoy between now and my next upload. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye, friend. I've got to, I think my dogs were. Nope, they're not asking to come in. I thought they were asking to come in. I'll see you next time. Good night.